What is up, guys, and I do hope you're well, and welcome back to another episode of Entitled Parents. If you are new here, please consider hitting that like, that subscribe button, and maybe even that notification bell. And with that being said, let's get started. First, we have a story from Squirrelman22. You're too young to be a pilot. Give my son your plane. Okay. I'm 21 and I have my pilot's license. I got it through Civil Air Patrol. My uncle sold me a Cessna 172. That clears it up. I went to the airport to do pattern work and maybe fly over to a nearby airport with a restaurant. I was filing flight plans when a woman walked into the office with her son. He was watching a Piper Cherokee take off. Now, the office is a cool building that has a desk and a shaded area, and an area with all windows that you can watch aircraft take off from. She walks up to the counter. She was a Karen. The cut, the shades, the makeup, and the child. Entitled mother says, "Hello, we're here for the Discovery flight." The receptionist said, "Okay, can I have a name for that, ma'am?" "My name is Karen Entitledness." "Oh goodness, you're early. Your flight isn't for 3 hours." "So can we get an earlier one?" "Sorry, our trainer is currently teaching a lesson." "When does the lesson end?" "When he lands." "When will he land?" "In 3 hours." "That's not fair. Don't make my baby have to wait." "Mom, I'm sorry you have to wait." "Oh, hi OP, what can I do for you today?" I say, "Hi receptionist, I was hoping to file a flight plan. Can you call the fuel truck to my tie down? I need to gas up." "Sure thing." EM says, "What? Why does he get to fly?" "Mom, he owns an aircraft." "That's not fair." Now this next phrase, I feel like I heard in slow-mo. "Let me speak to your manager." "No, Mum, you have to wait 3 hours." "You give my son a flight now." "No, Mum, I'm not qualified to do that. You can wait your turn." "No, you probably aren't a pilot." I say, "I am, lady. Now I'd be really happy if you'd kindly piss off and let me get my flight plan filed." Ugh. So I get my paperwork done and head out to my aircraft, get it fueled, then I do my pre-flight. I turn the key, and at the corner of my eye I see EM running up to the aircraft from the side. I turn the key to off and pull it out. The engine hadn't yet ignited. The EM ran up to the side of the aircraft and fiddled with the door handle until it finally opened. She then screamed, "Stop! You are too young to be a pilot. You are not a pilot. Get out of the plane. You're going to give me that plane so my kid can own it." "Lady, what the actual fuck? Do you know how fucking close you were to killing yourself? You are goddamn lucky the engine didn't ignite. Get the fuck off my plane." I had to quote a fellow aviator, Harrison Ford, on that one. "That is no way to talk to an adult. This is not your plane. This is my kid's. Hand over my keys." "Lady, fuck off with your little cum stain." "No." I reached over and pulled the door shut and held it shut. I never knew it was so hard to call airport security with one hand. She pulled on the door so hard, with the force of 1,000 Karens pulling switches away from teens, that she broke the outside door handle. Cops came in and arrested her. When they asked if I was pressing charges, she looked all smug. "He can't press charges, he's a minor. He also doesn't have a pilot's license." "Oh really?" I said. "Yes." "Well, officers, I do have a pilot's license and I'm not a minor. I'm 21. Something that is visible in my pilot's license, driver's license, and medical certificate." He's probably drunk. Make him take a breathalyzer." I then said, "With pleasure, under the condition that you take one too." "Oh, okay." Now I don't know why the officers let us do this, but for whatever reason, they did. I take it and it shows a big fat 0. She, however, was 4 times over the legal limit. This meant that she drove her kid while drunk. She got arrested for DUI, child endangerment, trespassing, attempted theft, destruction of property, assault and harassment. Pattern work has never felt the same, and that mac and cheese at the nearby airport never tasted better. They're invaded airports, what are we gonna do? I'm curious to how she actually got onto the airfield though. I thought like airfields were like major security. Just imagine this Karen charging down an airfield towards a plane. Thank you so much for sharing that story. Much love. Next story we have from Nibs Furfag. Come on, man. My son almost killed you? I'm going to sue you for emotional trauma. Caution, this story is really long. So this happened when I was around 13 to 14. One thing that plays a significant role in this story is the fact that I'm openly a furry. That explains the name. No, I hope this is something that you'll accept me being. Also, I'm not a native English speaker, so pardon my mistakes and weird spellings. Also, I got a few comments asking what a furry is. It's a person who enjoys being human like animals, and may have one as their alter ego, acting as one online or in real life. I don't do that. I'm keeping this clean for all people who earn money by reading these. Thank you. Here's a bad quality photo of my scar. Let's meet the cast. Me, that one furry. EK, entitled kid. EM, female goblin called Karen. EF, EK's sidekick. The story. So I was your average student, just doing whatever before finding the furry fandom and joining it. I was very open about it, and many people didn't really care since I wasn't bothering anyone with it. Or so I thought. Enter EK. EK was from a very racist family, and surprise, surprise, I am from Russia. Now I do get why some Finnish people dislike Russia, since we blamed Winter War on them and such, but this guy had so much hatred towards me, it actually surprised me more than anything else, and coming out as a furry made him hate me even more. One day I was just hanging around after school, just doing whatever, when suddenly a wild EK appeared, followed by EF. Now I generally wasn't that scared of these guys, since they are both around 5'6", and I'm surprisingly tall at 6'2". One thing to note, these guys are around 15, relevant later in the story. So EK comes around and just does what he likes to do most of the time, call me racist slurs and make fun of me in other ways. I just kind of ignore them for a while before EK pulls something out of his backpack. A gun? Nope. A knife? No. A friggin' leash. I kind of look at him confused, with him grinning at me. This is a rough translation of the following conversation. Keep in mind it happened around 3 years ago. EK said, "What are you waiting for? Put it on." I said, what? "Everybody knows you're acting like a dog." "No, what are you on about?" "You're a disgusting degenerate who likes to hug passionately with animals." "No, I just like animals." EK said, "Shut up, it's a fact." With that, he tackles, well more like jumps on top of me, leading to me falling on the ground and hitting my head on the concrete. EF taking the opportunity and slipping the collar and leash around my neck while I'm trying to catch my breath. EK grabs the leash and starts pulling on it, practically choking me and leaving me gasping for air. The second I thought I was going to die, he lets go. Both EK and EF let out the most disgusting laughter. EK drops the leash and pulls that smallish knife. Now I could tell you with my last breath I fought them off, but the reality is quite disappointing. He swung the knife at me. I put my arm to block it and he cut my forearm, blood gushing everywhere. I kicked him and he fell on his side, and I kicked him again, for good measure. EF just kind of stood there before helping EK up, and both just kicked me a few times before running off. I called myself an ambulance and got taken to hospital where I got treated with painkillers, and I got 5 stitches and had to stay there for a few days since I had a problem breathing. And now I have a slight stutter since they damaged some nerve in my throat with the leash. My parents were furious. Now you may ask, OP, where's the Karen? Well, she's coming into play now. After around 2 weeks my family settled down. I had to go to speech therapy, but I don't really mind that. We thought that this ordeal was over. You probably guessed this by now. It wasn't. After about 3 weeks of this ordeal happening, we received a letter to court with EK's family suing us. Luckily one of our family friends is a lawyer. Not a perfect one, but good at his job. We immediately called him and told him what had happened. He immediately told us that he got this and told us just to wait. The court day arrived. Since I'm the only person in my family capable of speaking Finnish, my family couldn't help me, so I had to retell everything by myself. I walked into the courtroom, followed by the FF, family friend. We sit down, and suddenly a goblin emerges from the doors in the dirtiest clothes imaginable, followed by their grinning EK. That's the Karen. The sitting starts and EK's family starts going first. They took over 20 minutes to retell the story in dramatic detail. I'm going to quickly sum it up. I was bullying EK for his whole life. That day after school I attacked him and pushed him to the ground, breaking his phone. Then I tried to assault EF, but EK pushed me away, leading to me falling on the ground and me taking out a knife and slicing my own arm to make EK look like a bad kid. Also she tried to victimise EK and her family as much as possible. She demanded that my family had to replace EK's phone and had to pay $10,000 for therapy, damages and mental problems caused by the ordeal. When it came to my turn to tell what happened, I told everything as it was, with the claimant denying everything. After that the judge asked us to represent our evidence, with the claimant presenting a broken phone and a letter from a bystander. Then it was FF's turn to present evidence. He asked to question EM about the ordeal. Keep in mind this is all translated by my poor translation skills. Is it true that OP assaulted EK? That is true. Is there any evidence besides a broken phone and a letter from a bystander not present in the courtroom? No. You will confirm that what you told us is true? EM said, I confirm that I'm 100% certain this is how it happened. She actually said 100%. FF turns to the judge. May I present a security camera footage as piece of evidence? FF had contacted the school, asking if any workers saw anything. The school sent him security recording. My school had security cameras installed pointing to the yard where that happened. As he said that, EM turned to white. So after seeing the tape, Judge turns towards EK and EM. Judge said, how do you plead? EM, not guilty. Clearly these, insert racial slur, forged the evidence to ruin my baby's reputation. EM continued ranting about F-word, Ruskies and immigrants for some reason. The judge looked so done, I swear I saw the look of disbelief in his eyes. Judge stops EM's rants and says, by the way I see you acting, it's clear who is in the right in the situation. Basically, I'm so done with you and your crap. He charges EM with forging evidence and lying to a judge, and EK with assault and attempted murder since I almost lost my life. Now remember me saying he was 15? That's the age you can go to jail in Finland. I think you know what happened to him. Jail time for 3 years. Judge had to call a security to escort Karen out. I was too distracted to hear her punishment. So here I am, a 16-year-old furry who almost died for being myself. Damn, man. It escalated quick with the knife, didn't it? I mean, I'm not into the whole furry stuff, but you gotta respect people who are. I mean, what does it matter to people? Why do people get so caught up in other people's problems? Just let people be people. Let them do their own thing. It's nothing to do with you. Stay out of it. To get a leash, I mean, how nasty of a person do you have to be? Thank you very much for sharing that story. And you just be you. Next we have a story from Spectrum Mummy, Amy Lee. Let my kid drive the tractor. Hi all, since there were many people who enjoyed my last EC story, I figured I'd tell you another great one. This is mostly an EP story, but there is a nice little feel good at the end. A little background, as I stated before, I work on a farm, and honestly I could not be happier at any other job. However, we're in an area that sees many types of entitled customers, parents, etc. Many of these customers and parents come to our farm and think it's okay to let their kids go buck wild or just act like entitled douchebags. At our farm, we host many types of events, such as live music, pick your own fruit and veggies, and we host many holiday events as well. Our Christmas light show would blow your mind. This time of year is many pick your own events, and this happened during strawberry season. The cast, ED entitled Douchebag Dad, EK, the kid that knows everything, EKB, EK's brother or friend, nice little boy, NL, pleasant lady, not sure if she's the mum or just a family friend, AM, awesome manager, P1 Cop 1, P2 Cop 2, me self-explanatory, let's buckle up, the story. You know it's going to get spicy when the cops are involved already. So as mentioned before, it's strawberry season, and it was close to the end of that harvest, and we're starting blueberries the following week. Important later. During the season we offer wagon rides to take the customers back to the fields to allow them to pick fruit, have fun, and have a relaxing day with the family, especially kids. The children all love the wagon rides. The ride costs $3 a person, and children too are free. Now usually the first 2 weekends of each season we host festival for each crop that is available for harvest. This involves a lot more stuff to do than just wagon rides. We have everything imaginable for a classic festival: balloons, pie eating contest, inflatable rides for the kids, face painting, etc., including the wagon ride. Tickets for these events are usually around $10 a person, which is a steal. When in the festival field, you are the jack of all trades. You never sit in one position long, and you are all over help wherever you are needed. I was driving the wagon. Yes, I'm a woman driver. I can drive the tractor and a wagon. Relevant to this story. The family is waiting with ED and the 2 kids. Mum is apparently in the market shopping. The conversation ensues. Entitled Dad says, "How much does it cost to ride?" Reminding me of Pee Wee Herman a little bit. I say, $3 a person, and kids under 2 are free. These 2 boys are well over 5 years old. ED says, "What if it was just the boys here?" I sort of blankly looked at him for a few seconds and said, "It'd be $6 for 2 boys, but they can come on without a parent or guardian." ED gives me a look of confusion. "Well, why? You're driving them out there, so they have a guardian." Internally telling myself, "Oh crap, here we go." I politely say, I'm sorry sir, children under 14 cannot ride alone. We cannot be held responsible for your child. ED gritting his teeth. Well, that makes no sense. Why would you offer kids free rides and not allow them to ride on their own? I want to go get a beer. Yes, he actually said that. The EK said, Dad, come on, I want to go on the tractor. I know, I'm working on it. I then say, well, the ride is supposed to be for the whole family, not just the kids. Also, you're welcome to go over our beer garden and have your beer there, while the kids make s'mores or something. The garden is outdoors, and has seating around a fire pit for the whole family. ED says, fine, we'll come back after. With EK now in tow whining a bit. Daddy, I want to go ride, while EKB decided to go to a small playground area set, maybe 25 feet from the garden. They soon disappear for about an hour. As I'm finishing up my third lap around the farm, I see ED, EK and EKB waiting to go for the ride. Here we go, I muttered under my breath. I park the tractor, get the people off the previous ride and begin to take tickets for the next round of customers. ED proceeds to muscle his way through what he thought was the front of the line, or gets a dirty look from others waiting. I decide to announce that the line starts on the side where the folding stairs are located, and they start to pile in. The ED and company were standing on the opposite side of the wagon, and not moving, which I thought was weird, but I just kept doing my thing. I hop off the wagon to climb in the driver's seat, and EK is sitting in the seat trying to start it. I say, hey kiddo, you can't be up here, it's too dangerous, and for workers only. EK was whining, my daddy said I'm allowed to drive the tractor. I then say, sorry, this isn't going to happen, you are not allowed. ED then went into beast mode, screaming and slurring. I said he could, I gave him permission, so you need to let him drive. See, I told you I am allowed. I say, well, I'm sorry, your dad doesn't have the right to say what you can do on our wagon. EK ignores me and somehow was able to start the tractor. I quickly hurtle over to the wagon and grab EK before he could put the tractor into gear. The kid is screaming like a wild baby buffalo, and ED starts yelling at me to get off my kid. This could have turned tragic very quickly if he managed to get into gear. Thank God for old tractors. I gently place him on the ground, and he proceeds to throw himself onto the gravel and starts kicking and screaming like a toddler. The kid has to be 6 or 7 years old. The EKB was standing there very quiet watching the whole thing, and just rolled his eyes. Must be old hat to him. At this point I'm standing there dumbfounded, as the ED is 2 inches from my face screaming at me that I threw his kid off the tractor. He smells like a 10-day-old stale beer, and is spitting while slurring everything he said, most of it incoherently. At this point my AM sees what is happening, and she comes over. AM says, what's happening here? I didn't even get a breath in before ED starts getting in my AM's face, and she stood there like a statue, and total boss with the most blank look I've ever seen on her face. Kind of scared me a bit. The ED finally stops screaming long enough to take a breath, and she stops him dead in his tracks. Okay sir, that's quite enough. He sputters, but I promised me so. Not really sure what you expected sir. This is a wagon ride, not a tractor training class. How dare you? Furthermore, why do none of your group have tickets? ED said, I was told by her, pointing at me, that the kids were free. I say, sorry sir, I said kids under 2 are free. I did explain that to you earlier when you asked. AM then says, and where did you get the impression that your child will be allowed to drive one of our tractors when he doesn't even have a driving license? I swear to God, this was the next thing that came out of his pie hole. He knows how to drive. I take him to drive the scooters and bumper cars at the fair, and he does really well. At this point, AM and I just look at each other stunned. I say, wait, so you think because he can drive a bumper car at the fair, he can drive a tractor? Just needed to repeat that back to him to make sure he really understood what he just said. Yeah, it isn't much different. I snickered and started to climb onto the trailer to get the ride going, since there were like 20 people waiting to go picking. I sit down and lo and behold the key is missing. I see EK playing with it while still sitting in the gravel, all scratched up from his hissy fit earlier. Hey kiddo, I need my key so we can get the ride going. He quickly puts it in his pocket. I hear some groaning from the families on the wagon waiting to go. AM said to EK, we need our key back to drive, hun. EK said, I don't have it, while the EKB said, yes you do, give it back. What a great kid. The entitled dad then says, well, unless you let my son sit to drive, the tractor doesn't move, I guess. He stood there with the most cocky and smug look on his face. At this point my AM has had enough. She radioed for backup, and 2 of our assigned officers showed up to see what was up. We always have at least 2 police and 1 ambulance on the grounds where there is a big event on at the weekends. P1 says, Hey what's going on? AM starts telling the police officer what is happening, then all of a sudden he turns to ED, and he and the EK are gone, MIA, except one fatal mistake was made. The ED and EK left EKB behind. I asked EKB, where the heck did they go? He motioned me over and whispered to me that they went hiding in the bathrooms. I thanked him and told P1 and P2. They went off to the bathrooms to chase them down. Meanwhile, the poor people on the wagon were waiting, started to get restless, so AM appeased them by offering them some free bottled water and a 20% coupon for waiting, which worked beautifully. 5 minutes later, P1 and P2 show up with ED in cuffs and the EK crying about how they were his keys. P2 said, go ahead EK, give her back the keys and apologise. The entitled dad is yelling every swear word in the book and even made up a few while on his rant. He yells to EK, don't give her anything. He was at the point of falling over himself. P2 then says, sir, if I was you, I would keep your mouth shut for the time being, or you'll be getting charged with more than that public nuisance. The EK still crying, I still want to drive. P1 and P2 gave me a look as to say, is he kidding? P1 then says, son, you're not old enough to drive. Now for the last time, give her back the keys. EK reluctantly gave me my keys and I hopped back in my tractor and headed out. As I got the tractor started, AM and I got a small applause for getting the ride going. After the round, I came back and got to see a lady, assuming mum, standing there with two kids and ED in cuffs in the back of a cop car. AM said that ED was being charged with disorderly conduct and public drunkenness, so he was driven away and the three stood there stunned at the events of the day. I really kind of felt bad for the two kids, even though the EK was being a brat, but that was all brought on by ED. I felt bad for them that the day had been ruined by ED. So I just finished the last trip and we're getting ready to close up soon. I asked AM if I could have permission to go on one more run for the kids because I felt a bit bad for them. She agreed. I went up to NL and said, Mom, the kids have had a really rough day. Would you allow me to take them on a quick run on the track that's supervised? She was okay with it. So I ended up having the kids sit either side of me and took them for a spin, which they really seemed to enjoy. The EK was very grateful and sincerely apologised for being a brat. I said it was all good, as long as he learned something from it. He agreed and thanked me again for taking him on the ride. NL also profusely apologised for ED's behaviour. He tended to get like that when he was drinking. The EKB came over and actually gave me the sweetest hug, thanked me, and I returned the thank you for being honest about the keys. He smiled and they went to go and get ice cream while I clocked out. All in all, it was a very long but satisfying day somehow. Holy moly! That farm is a crazy place. We got one of those farms quite close to us. I love going there because you get the strawberry picking, you get the tractor rides. I'm a big kid, so I love going on the tractor myself. But what the hell? The dad. What is with that dad? Saying his son can drive because he's been on bumper cars before. In that case, we all can. Thank you very much, Amy Lee, for sharing that story once again. Much love. Now we have a story from Ashley Wayne. Ian gets mad because she didn't get a gift on Father's Day. Just want to say I love your channel, Daddy Cringe. I've watched all your videos and love how you read these stories. Thank you very much, and always a pleasure to have you here. Here is the most recent entitled parent story. Sadly, the EM in this story is my own mother. She's been acting extremely entitled for all of Father's Day weekend, and I have to share this here, on my mobile. On Saturday, we went out for dinner with my dad. We like to have dinner the day before or after a holiday to avoid the crowds. We took him to a steakhouse he really enjoys, where they serve bread and butter before the meal comes out. My sister, S, was being cheesy and said, "Here you go, Dad, I buttered your bread for you," while handing him a piece of bread and butter lazily spread across it. My siblings and I laughed at this. My sister then passed the bread around the table so everyone could take their own. Everyone was fine with this, everyone except EM, of course. EM said, "You didn't butter my bread too. Can you do mine?" My sister said, "I buttered his bread because it's Father's Day. It's not Mother's Day." I then say, "Yeah, don't take special treatment away from him," while I was laughing. "Wow," and she angrily snatches the bread away. My sister and I share a look of confusion. My brother was actually getting offended by not having her bread buttered for her. The table went silent after that. My sister's order came out wrong and she had to send it back, making her the only one without a plate. Everyone waited for her to get a new plate. Everyone, of course, except for EM. EM finished her steak and potatoes in record time. She didn't look up from her plate even once. She gave no fucks about my sister having nothing to eat at that moment. The following day, she continued the fun. I had to work on Father's Day, just for 3 hours. I got out at 2 PM and walked home in the rain, as my mother had ignored my text for a ride home. On my way home, I decided to grab a pint of chocolate fudge brownie ice cream and an ice cream sandwich for my father, a little Father's Day gift. The pint was big enough to be shared. When I got home, I gave it to my dad and he thanked me. That's when EM enters. EM says, "Okay, where's mine?" I say, "Your what?" "You got him an ice cream sandwich, where's mine?" I didn't get you one?" Seriously, I would never come home with something for one person and not the other. That's so rude. But that's why I also bought a pint. Whatever, OP. And she storms off to her bedroom. After this, my dad told me I'd made my mother feel bad, and that's why she went to her room. Unfortunately, he's used to her getting her way and treating him badly. She literally expected special treatment on Father's Day. She kind of reminds me of a little kid at a birthday party, when they get upset that they aren't getting any presents. Oh my word. I don't know if you're like me, but when I see people like that, I like to antagonise them a bit more. I would have went and bought something else as well and just gave it to my dad just to see the pissed off look on their face. Fair play to you though, don't back down to that because it's only going to get worse. Seems like your dad's already under the thumb, so yeah, rip. Now we have a story from the Lunar Witch 5162. Let them eat cake, entitled Exchange Student. Hi Daddy Cringe, I've been waiting to post this story here since I realised it was actually about an entitled person and their mum. A bit of a warning before you read, there might be a couple of grammar errors. English is my first language, but it's just that my mum was the one that typed most of this out for me because I'm generally a slow typer. She has a better memory of this. Feel free to point them out to me and I'll fix them. Mandatory TLDR at the end. So with that out of the way, enjoy the tea my sisters and bros. 2 summers ago, we moved to a new state and didn't have a lot of friends, so my mum decided it would be fun to host an exchange student for the school year. We passed the interviews and took the classes. We wouldn't be paid for hosting the student and would actually be responsible for many of her expenses. We were set to host a 17-year-old girl who seemed wonderfully friendly and outgoing, but then the coordinator announced that she would be hosting our student at her house and we would be hosting a younger girl, barely 15 years old, from France. We spoke with her over Skype and she was quiet, but we thought maybe she was just shy. The first couple of weeks with our exchange student were great. EK was excited to be in the USA and school hadn't started yet. She was thrilled to watch Game of Thrones, Stranger Things and other TV she hadn't got to see at home. When school started, our trouble began. EK didn't want to ride the school bus, so she claimed she had missed the bus and called us to drop everything and come pick her up. One morning, EK woke my mother up at 6 AM and said she had thrown up during the night. She said she needed to go to the emergency room right away. Mum had her set tea and small bites of toast over the next few hours and see how she felt. EK didn't throw up anymore, but still insisted on going to the emergency room for medicine. Mum said, "You aren't throwing up and you don't have a fever. Let's just have you rest and see how you feel." But EK didn't like that. She called her mother, EP, who then called our home to insist that we take EK to urgent care right away. Mum took her to urgent care, where they recommended, wait for it, rest and hydration. While EK was just your average 15-year-old girl, she thought she was extremely good looking. Kids at school would attempt to make friendships with EK, but she would say things like, "I like her, but she's so boring, so I told her I already had plans." As homecoming approached, EK was hopeful that one of the most popular guys in school would ask her to the dance. She had seen him in class and they hadn't really spoken, but she really wanted him to ask her to be his date. The sad thing was, EK said a nice, funny guy who was in several classes with her asked her to homecoming and she turned him down, saying she was a lesbian. Since EK hadn't made any friends by homecoming time, end of October, the exchange coordinator arranged for some of the local girls she knew to befriend EK and the three of them went to a homecoming game and danced together. By mid-November, EK had dumped the girls, saying they were too bossy and boring. An ongoing problem for our family was our cell phones. When EK arrived, the exchange coordinator recommended that my parents add EK to our cell plan. We had 4 family members on the plan, all with iPhones, all streaming data regularly and never coming close to exhausting the monthly data. Well, we found out that EK was on Facebook, Snapchat and Netflix all day at school and used all the family's data for the month within a couple of days. The school had a policy of blocking sites like Facebook from their Wi-Fi. After we realised EK was using all the family data and blocked her from using planned data during school hours, EK was forced to use the school Wi-Fi. She called her dad, French military officer, and he attempted to help her hack the school's Wi-Fi so that she could access any website she wanted at school. It was around this time that we started calling EK Marie Antoinette between ourselves. She really seemed to believe that she was above the rules. I'd been planning for a month to go to Harry Potter themed ball in December. I bought a special dress and everything. We invited EK, but a Harry Potter ball was below her, so she planned to go to a new friend's house and hang out after school. We'd pick her up around 9:30 PM. We'd just gotten to the ball and started mingling with other people when EK texted. She needs us to pick her up soon. What? EK said the friend's parents didn't know she was staying past dinner time and need to go home now. We stayed about 30 minutes more at the ball with her texting to come soon. When we got to the friend's house, EK was standing outside the driveway. We'd never know what she did to make that family put her outside in the cold. By mid-December, things weren't going well at home with EK at all. She refused to do the two very basic weekly chores she had, vacuuming her room and cleaning her bathroom. Her grades were D's. The rule was that exchange students must maintain C's or be sent home, and was frequently sleeping through her alarm, so Mum would have to get up and rush the driver to school. She didn't have any American friends, and her only two friends were two Swiss exchange students in the next town over. Those two girls were also in trouble for bad grades and various bad behaviour. One morning, Mum was up at 5:45 AM to drive EK to the bus stop as usual, but EK didn't get up. Mum waited and waited, but EK didn't appear, so she thought maybe EK was ill. When EK finally got up, she said she accidentally forgot to set her alarm. It was about the 6th time, and Mum was frustrated. She messaged EP and said she needed help getting EK motivated to get up on time every day to go to school. She and EK got in the car to go to school. Mum was thinking that EK was in over her head and wanted to go home, but was too shy to say so. So she said, "What's going on, EK? Do you want to go home or what? Why aren't you participating in this experience?" EK started fake crying, kind of like a 3-year-old denied a lollipop, and shouted, "No!" She insisted she only missed the bus once or twice. Later that day, EP called the exchange coordinator to tell her that EK had never been so badly abused. EK decided that she would not speak to our family anymore. For 3 days she walked to and from the bus stop, stayed in her room and only came out to use the bathroom. She would sneak into the kitchen to get food when we were out of the room. Her mum had been sending her packages full of candy, so she was mostly living on candy, eating in her bedroom. Finally, 5 days before Christmas, Dad told Mum to tell the coordinator to get EK out of our home before Christmas. We weren't going to have EK sulking and slamming doors over the holidays. We had Christmas presents for EK, and we sent them with her so she would have something to open on Christmas morning. But EK took the box of presents her family had sent for us with her. We didn't care though. It was such a relief to have EK out of our house and not have the stress of having a guest who hated us. We'll never host an exchange student again. We made it through 5 months of hell with our entitled exchange student. Oh my word, I don't know why I know people want to help them out and give them an experience in themselves, and I bet some people get some lovely exchange students, but the thought of having a stranger wandering about my house, especially if you get a bad apple like that one, I mean, gee whiz, who wants that wandering around your house, especially if she's slamming doors. I'd get her a doghouse or something. Thank you so much for sharing that story, and for your mum for writing it up. Thank her as well. Much love. Anyway guys, thank you so much for listening today. If you did enjoy it, don't forget to click that like and share it around. It really helps my channel. We grow every day and your help makes it grow even further, so I can only thank you for that. I've got some exciting news at some point soon. Hopefully we might be spreading our wings and going out to podcasts as well, so we might be on the Apple Store and Spotify and things. I don't know if you're interested in that sort of stuff or if it even works, but we might be trying it out soon. So let me know your thoughts on that as well. With that being said, thank you very much. See ya.